Hello, this is Chris Murakami, and I'm out here at the Zelienople Historical Society at the Passavant House, and just wanted to give a quick update on some of the things that are happening out with the vegetable garden here, some of the work that we're planning on getting ramped up for as we look forward to the growing season out here. Obviously, some unprecedented, uncertain times that we're facing. But I found that the work that I do at Chatham University, my home garden, now here, growing food, putting seeds in the ground is one of the things that grounds me, and hopefully you all have some opportunities in your home gardens to be able to put some seeds in the ground while also staying safe and socially distanced. Just wanted to have a quick note that I'm wearing some gloves right now, trying to be mindful. There's nobody here on site, and if I were doing harvesting or things like that, I might have a mask on just in terms of practicing some good food safety and things like that. But we're not harvesting at this point. But just wanted to show you a couple of things around the garden. So this is our garden here, and you can see some of the remnants from last season. We were able to do some kind of cleaning up of the garden, but obviously there always could be more weeding and things like that. For those of you that don't know, this space has been in production for a few years now, and there was a whole team effort and kind of a brief history of this spot where the recent history of the land, there was a large black maple here, or black walnut that came down eventually, and there was kind of some open spaces that allowed for these vegetable beds to be created. And then there was a research initiative to kind of go through some of the letters that Zeli Passavant had with family members and friends, where they often talked about some of the flowers and vegetables and things like that would have been grown. And so we've been trying in the past few years to grow some of those vegetables, and also take some liberties in some places to grow kind of different noteworthy varieties, but also trying to show some of the methods that are kind of discussed there. So one of them is the potato barrel, which is here, and you can see this mostly just looks like kind of compost or potting material, and we'll be planting some seed potatoes in here. We'll probably have room for about 6 to 8 seed potatoes there, and we'll kind of layer in compost above that. This is where I'm gonna plant some peas here in just a moment in these raised beds. And we had peas that were growing in this first part of the bed, and then tomatoes and basil that were growing in the back part. This year, I'm going to kind of flip that. So I'm going to grow some early season peas, which is now the kind of time to plant peas and hope for a moderately wet spring without it getting kind of flooded out. This is where we had some the Bloody Butcher corn, which is a heritage variety of corn. There's no known association with the Passavant family in this, the Bloody Butcher variety, but it's this deep red color that is an Appalachian variety, good for cornbread and also for moonshine. But you can see some of the stalks that are kind of left over from last season. We're just using that to keep the soil covered here, but we'll get some of this soil prepared as well. In this circle bed, we'll probably actually do some kind of compost additions here. We had some issues with drainage in this spot last season, but we had some success with some gourds and nasturtium and the scarlet runner beans. There's an obelisk, a kind of tower that runs that we kind of could put in the middle here for some trellising plants. These are one of my favorite plants, which are the walking onions, the Egyptian walking onions. And we planted these in the fall, from little bulblets. They overwintered, and now they're pretty much ready for harvesting as green onions. But we'll let them continue to kind of fill out this space here. And then in this bed, you can see that this is where we planted the German red lima beans last year. And we're going to kind of transition and kind of rotate to a heavier feeding crop. So like potatoes, we might actually expand our potato production this year. And on certain times, it's always I'm certain about one thing, which is I'd want to have more potatoes around come late summer, not knowing what the future holds. But that's kind of a short update here of what's happening in the Zelienople Historical Society vegetable plots. As you can see, there's plenty of weeding and things like that to do that I'll be trying to take care of in the short term in this spot. But look forward to the day when it's safe for the kind of community to gather around this garden again, and the Historical Society and the Passavant House. But just wanted to send that quick update out to you all. Just want to show this briefly here, the preparation of this raised garden bed for pea planting. One thing that I'll note is you can actually see the leftover kind of crop residue from, I think this is from a tomato plant or maybe from a basil plant that were planted in this area from last summer. And I'm going to try to do some minimal disturbance here, but get the soil prepared. So we're lucky in that the soils here have pretty good tilth. They're relatively easy to work, and I actually don't think that we need to do any sort of deep disturbance or tillage here to get the soil prepared. But I am going to go ahead and remove any of the kind of crop debris that would be impeding the growth of the plants. And I'm just using a kind of garden glove here to open up a furrow that's about an inch deep, and kind of do that all the way here. And then I'm actually going to do 2 rows that are going to be in these sugar snap peas that I'll put about a foot apart for my furrows, and kind of open up those 2 spaces here. So this is the seed packet for the sugar snap peas here that I'll be growing, and just want to look quickly at the back of the seed packet so you can see the seed depth about an inch, seed spacing 2 inches. We're not going to follow that row spacing of 4 feet to 6 feet. We're going to do something a little bit tricky. So I'm going to stick to about 2-inch seed spacing here. I have my 2 furrows. These rows that I have in this kind of intensive plot, I'm going to put about a foot apart, which again is not necessarily following the recommendation of the seed spacing. And then I'm just going to kind of add my seeds down into the furrow. I'm trying to do this one-handed while I'm holding onto a camera too, which is not the easiest thing to do. But kind of dropping those seeds in about every 2 inches. This is new seed, so I have high hopes for it. If you have older seed, you might want to plant a little bit denser. See there, I definitely don't want to be planting that dense as we're kind of getting that set up. So I'll cover this all the way down these two rows, and then cover them back up again with that close to an inch of soil there. Peas in the early springtime are one of my favorite crops for sure. With the wet springs that we get in southwestern Pennsylvania, it's somewhat of a crapshoot. If it's too rainy, then the seeds may end up rotting in the soil before they germinate, or kind of shortly after germination. So we'll keep an eye on what the weather does in the next couple of weeks. And depending on whether or not we see emergence, I might come back and fill in where we had spotty germination and things like that. You could grow peas without a trellis, but we'll probably have a trellis for these that I'm going to set up kind of in the middle of the 2 furrows, but I could show you that at a later date. So I'm going to kind of finish up here in planting peas, but it's kind of great to have you along as we as I'm planting the seeds here over at the Passavant House in the vegetable garden. But thanks so much for joining, and hopefully see you soon.